It's Mikko Mastro, the Finland's finest, and you're listening to the number one podcast, Sit Down Marks. Ja tässä mä sanon, teidän kaikkien kannattaa kuunnella, olet sitten Suomesta tai Yhdysvalloista, koska tätä kaikki tulevat kertomaan kadulta toiselle, kaupungista toiseen.
Hey yo, if I can be serious for a minute.
Oh yeah!
Acknowledge me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Come on in. Sit down. Episode number 179 of the Sit Down Marks podcast. Today, man, we're excited because we're going to give a final farewell to John Cena in the Dropkick discussion with our favorite matches, memories, opponents, you know, our favorite jerseys maybe that he might have worn, you know, at some point. So looking forward to that one, man. And we're going to talk a little AEW. World's End results, pay-per-view over this past weekend that I really enjoyed. So excited for that one. But to let you know, we are -1 today. So it's just going to be my man Dylan and myself today bringing this podcast to you. But he did, Primo, not here with us, but he did leave you a little message.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.
So he didn't leave you, you know, all alone by yourself. He did leave you with a little wish going into the new year. So what's going on, Dylan? How you doing, brother?
Oh, we're doing great, DB. We got the DB and DH Express or something like that going on. You know, vibing and thriving. Man, I am so full of like Christmas sweets. I've been doing nothing but eating candy and watching old wrestling before it leaves Peacock. We had the AEW pay-per-view, like you said. And, you know, I don't know if this has anything to do with Primo not being here or not. They might not even be related. But I heard Lucha Daddy was down helping El Generico with that orphanage. You know, I don't know if that's a coincidence that Primo's not here, if that has anything to do with it. Like, you know, who's to say? Whoever.
I mean, he only told us he was going on vacation in quotation marks, air quotation marks, you know, so
whatever that means,
you know, I mean, out there, you know, helping out El Generico, you know, might've been it, you know, eerily enough, he left this background of masks for us to use today on, you know, YouTube and Facebook. So, you know, maybe there's, you know, something going on there together. So, But glad you could join us today. Thank you, everybody, for watching on YouTube and Facebook as we round out 2025. We got some highlights and stuff to talk about the podcast towards the end here. So thank you guys all for joining us today, man. Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year. It's right around the corner, man. So excited and just thankful for everybody. And thank you for listening on all those podcast platforms out there. So, all right. Dylan, been a little bit, man. So if you're ready, brother, let's kick this thing off.
Yes, sir.
Topic number 1, brother. So the Royal Rumble poster was just released for Riyadh Saturday, January the 31st. If you're watching right now on YouTube and Facebook, got that pulled up for you. We're poster people around here. You know what I mean? So, what do you think about this one, man?
It looks different, and I think that's a good thing. Like it's. I don't know, just the vibe of it is different. I'm not sure. I can't really put my finger on it.
Yeah.
It's, like other Rumble posters in the past, you got a whole litany of people on there. It's not like we're just throwing one person's face. You got 2 30-person Rumbles. You got to spread out the love here. I can't get used to it being in Riyadh. I think that might be what's throwing me off. I don't know. We're going to have a afternoon Rumble, it sounds like. It's just odd, but when somebody's giving you however many billions of dollars, I guess we can watch the Rumble in the afternoon.
Yeah. Sounds like we're probably gonna get it, probably around noon. That thing's probably coming on right around noon. If I'm being honest, this might be the one time this year, unless WrestleMania has some good, some hype on it. This might be the one time this year that I pay the $59.99 to watch a pay-per-view live, possibly. So, I'm a big fan of daytime wrestling. So, but yeah, this poster, man, like it doesn't jump out at me as being anything type of original. But I'm always all about what the Royal Rumble poster is going to look like. So, but not super impressed with this one.
It's got like a darker feel to it. I don't know. Like I guess I'm used to it being like brighter, like red and blue or something like that. That's at least how that was in Indy last year. But obviously it's the Rumble, one of the big ones. You got Cody, you got Roman, you got Brock. Like they're not going to keep out any of the stars, especially in Riyadh. But yeah, I don't know. It's the Rumble itself. It'll be fun once it gets here. We'll be fired up for it. Who we think is going to win, all that fun stuff. But yeah, just the poster itself, I don't know. I'm not loving it.
Yeah. It doesn't like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, you know what I mean? So, but early odds are coming out about winners, man. And, right up the top right now, Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn looks like one of the handful, and Roman's in there too, obviously. So, should be interesting though. All right, let's move on. Topic number 2, man. This was a little sad one here because I kind of got to think about this the other day, man. I was like, you know what? 2025 wasn't really good to wrestling we lost a lot of people. I don't know a better way to put it, but we lost a lot of people in wrestling, man. We lost some icons. We lost some, some people that were, big to us sickos and, wrestling purists, the ones that have been around, and I felt like it kind of hit hard, towards the end of the year with Bob Caudle being one of the last ones, to go as of late. But we lost Steve Regal. We lost Sir Mo. This won't be the whole list, but, kind of the top of the list. Mongo McMichael, was a big one. Sabu kind of took everybody a little bit by surprise, because he had a match, not long, before that. A big one to me, man, because I watched this guy on the Superstation, 605 on Saturday nights, man. Black Bart, you know what I mean? The old cowboy, you know what I mean? Like he's, we lost him. He was a big part of childhood heels, for me, like in that era. And we lost the Hulkster, you know what I mean? Locally, in the Chicago area, we lost Eric Priest. That was a big one, around this area. So, not really much you can say, but, about it. But, 2025, not very good to wrestling. I'm kind of talking about it to kind of put it out there in the ether, that hoping that 2026 is a lot more gentle to to us, to the fellow wrestling community, right?
Yeah. Just over the weekend, I've been watching a lot of old Starcades and old WrestleManias while we still have that chance. And, Caudle's on the call for the first, I think it was 3, maybe first 4 Starcades.
Starcades, yeah.
It just, that being fairly fresh, that was on my mind watching it, just how good he was, him working with Shivani, him working with, I'm drawing a blank now, the other really famous guy from down south. Help me out, DB.
Crockett?
Anyway, Atlanta, this is bad audio. Famous ring announcer. I'm completely drawing a blank. Gordon Soley. There we go.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It just took me a second there. It's a Monday. But him working with Shivani, him working with, it was great stuff. And then on the Mania side, the old 80s Manias, there's nobody bigger than the Hulkster. Just seeing that in his like prime, in his peak, how huge Hulkamania was. It kind of just is what it is, and it sounds really like calloused and jaded to say it, but like every year is a bad year for losing wrestlers at this point. It just seems to happen all the time that we lose somebody. Sometimes shocking, sometimes it's people that are up there and you kind of expect it. But you mentioned it, that Sabu, like it was like right after a week or two after the match, we were like, oh, cool, this is an awesome Sabu match. And then out of nowhere, it's like, whoa, wow, okay, just a reminder of how quick life can be, and a kind of a depressing part there. But like you said, hopefully 2026 it eases up a bit.
Topic number 3, Dylan, I want to ask you, man. Usually like to have like some little question here where I like to ask you. So, John Cena's out the door, man. Give me a quick little, say a handful of guys of WWE that you think could carry the flagship for the next, like, say 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, I think you got your Romans, obviously in there. I don't know if he's going to last 10 more years, maybe. And Seth, Punk definitely not lasting 10 years, but who's kind of like in that middle era, you think?
Right. Yeah. Punk and Roman, like, I don't know that we get 10 more years. And if we do, I don't think there'll be like, the strong carrying the company type of 10 years. Cody's, the easy answer is if he's got 10 more years, he's, QB1, as he likes to say right now.
I bet he does.
And then like, you got to look at a Braun Breaker,
there you go.
A week from now, he might be the champ. Who knows? He's got Heyman behind him.
Right.
Obafemi down in NXT. A lot of hype on him. I think he's going to be something special. I don't know about like carrying the company, face of the franchise, center of the poster, but Dom Mysterio is about to have a huge run.
Yeah, he is.
Then, we have to look at the women at this point too. Rhea Ripley's still got a lot of good years left in her. She's going to be a big star. A number of girls down in NXT that can step up. Liv Morgan just came back. Bianca Belair has been on the shelf for a little while now. Jade Cargill, big shiny new toy. Like, there's a lot of talent, and like I think we have to mention it just because of how Cena went out. Like, Gunther is going to be a big force again. The next at least 5 years, 10 years, whatever. He just retired Goldberg and Cena in the same year.
Yeah,
they have to do something big with him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that list. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to see guys like, like what they're going to do with Austin Theory now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like somebody, like his size. I've always like been, big on him. It's just kind of like just finding that, that right niche for him. You know what I mean? That works. You know what I mean? And maybe, maybe we got to hate him for a little while, like Roman, and maybe he's got to suck for a little while, to get there. But, so just kind of want to see who you kind of thought. But I mean, that's a respectable list. A guy I really like, man. I think if he was just, I mean, all the talent in the world, and he's going to make up for it. But like, Carmelo Hayes, like, that's a guy, he just won the U.S. title.
Oh yeah.
Man, if that dude was just like maybe a foot taller, you know what I mean? Like, and when Trick hits when Trick hits the main roster, him and they're going to have some fun. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And they kind of teased Trick. I think it was last week. He was in, I think it was on SmackDown, so it would have been Aldis's office saying like he's a free agent looking for somebody to sign him. Javon Evans, they've been throwing out that free agent moniker with. Which, side note, like when did NXT people just randomly become free agents all of a sudden?
Right.
One of their random things they're going to do from time to time. And one more name, like he's not even technically signed to WWE yet, but TNA's Leon Slater has been getting all kinds of airtime on WWE programming. You got to think he's going to be next in line in that like Jordan Grace, Joe Hendry mold, where they work for TNA, but they're getting a lot of WWE time, and they just kind of slowly transition to being a WWE person. He's gonna really take off, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of WWE's top guys for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I agree. All right, topic number 4, man. Over this weekend, AEW, the final pay-per-view of the year for AEW called World's End. It was held at Hoffman Estates, Illinois, which is basically West Chicago. I was really excited for this pay-per-view going to this because I'd kind of been waiting. Dylan knows this with bated breath to watch Okada and Takeshita, and I still, got excited, about what happened, in the finish, made it seem, there's obviously going to be more, in the whole Don Callis family. So I felt like we didn't quite get, the let loose match, throw everything at the sink, which was by design, I'm sure, it's totally fine. You know what I mean? We're going to get it, later. So, but I was really wanting to go this, but due to Christmas stuff going on still a couple days after I couldn't. But everybody was gone by the time this came on that night. Everybody was doing other things, so I was able to sit down on the couch, watch it, take it all in, and one of the best of the year, I thought. But nothing too is I love the Continental Classic. We like it. This was the finale. Of this, but man, this was a good pay-per-view. Even at the ending, that I kind of thought we all kind of seen coming a little bit. But yeah, man, I dug it.
Yeah, same. This was the first one I'd got to watch live in quite a while, just between like prioritizing like college football during the fall.
Yeah,
and I know like we had a couple like a Dreamwave show, one of the pay-per-view weekends, like. First time I was home, didn't have anything else going on. Be lying if I said I didn't get kind of the itch to drive up there when Okada Takeshita was announced. But
yeah,
kind of like you said, Christmas time, winter, even though it was like 80 degrees or whatever, winter driving. Like I decided just to stay home. But I loved the pay-per-view. To echo what you just said, basically, like clearly not to blow off for Okada Takeshita. That said, it was still a phenomenal match, but there's still 3 or 4 gears they could go on that one. I think Mox and Kyle Fletcher was my favorite match of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Really killed it, really tore it down. I liked Mox and Okada as well. I'm more interested in like where they're going next than I was like that match itself. Like Mox like kind of turning babyface isn't where I thought. I guess I should say how it played out isn't how I thought it was going. I thought he'd lose and like the Death Riders would attack him, but then him winning and cutting this uber baby face, let's go AEW, we're the best wrestle promo, kind of surprised me. But I really like the Okada using that screwdriver during his match,
right,
and then it not being there for Fletcher the next match.
Yes, yeah.
That connectivity, I think that's the word. I really liked it. I like where that story can go.
Right.
And then outside of just Continental Classic, the what they call it, the mixed nuts match or something like that.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of fun. Loved seeing Roddy and Marina in there together. The Orange Cassidy, Tony Storm chemistry is off the charts. I thought the women's title match killed it. Chris Stat and Jamie Hayter, great stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the main event. Like you said, I think we all kind of saw that coming. But I was so happy MJF came back, and I was so happy they put him in this match because it felt like we had just saw that Joe Hangman Swerve triple threat, within the last year or two.
Yeah.
I really, at that point, I wasn't super excited for it. I was like, yeah, okay, I guess we're running this one back. But when MJF showed up, signed that contract that he had that I kind of forgot about. Like I thought they tied that all together nicely. I think him winning the title is nice way to end the year. Really good pay-per-view. You always get your money's worth. We're always going to come on here and say, oh, it was too long, but you get your money's worth. And good Saturday night of wrestling.
Yeah. No, I agree. The opener was good. With Okada and Takeshita, I'm like, first match, I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Like right off the bat. Yeah. And so the story of the screwdriver looks like that was supposed to be planted there for Kyle, and Okada knew it was there and kind of stole it and took it, and ended up getting the win. Mox beating Kyle, by the choke out was nice. Yeah. Both of these matches, first two matches were an hour. I think we were texting after that. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Right off the bat, right? And then a little bit later, FTR retained versus the Bang Bang Gang, which I really liked that one, man. I thought that one was fun, but and then I kept laughing too, because we're used to seeing Brock Lesnar guy on so many WWE shows that, when you see him on AEW, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. So he's just like, he always gets like the front rows and stuff, right? You know what I mean? So that's funny. But anyway, so I think the pay-per-view ended up being like what, 4 hours, 3 minutes. It got over just after 11.
Just a change over 4. Yeah,
it takes another drop right there. So just a little bit too long, but I was into it. Saturday night after Christmas, I didn't mind it being late. You know what I mean? This wasn't like a regular, throughout the year, Saturday night for me. You know what I mean? So I was just like, it was cool. Like I like this too, because I hope this kind of spawns. I feel like, I want to see if you're with me too. I feel like MJF needs a little bit of a character change. He needs a morph a little bit, you know what I mean? Like some sort of, getting to something else other than just the asshole.
I think he needs to stop being the cute asshole and just be an actual asshole, instead of, he's our scumbag. He's a bad guy, but we cheer him.
Right.
Like, I'm a bad guy, but I'm going to make you pop and laugh 10 different times during my promo. Like, just be a dick.
Right. Yeah.
To everybody. Like,
right.
Don't try to be funny. And I don't know if the AEW fans, us included, if we're just like so tied in that can't happen, no matter what he does.
Right.
We're gonna be like, oh yeah, that MJF, like he threatened to set Mark Briscoe on fire, and we were all just like, oh yeah, that's Maxwell,
right,
lighting people on fire. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's it or not, but I agree. Like, not a drastic character change by any means, but just like, I don't know, maybe tighten some stuff up.
Right.
But I do think the product is a lot better with him being back. Like, I didn't realize how much I missed him.
I agree.
Until he showed back up. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, here we go.
I agree. Last thing about this, man, then we'll move on. How did you like the angle of Moxley as the Continental Classic winner? I love it and I hate it, at the same time.
I didn't see it happening because I think I was more focused on the Okada part.
Same.
I was like, okay, Okada's got the title that they unified and then didn't unify, I guess. But, just the Don Callis part of it, the family part of it, how he used a screwdriver to beat Takeshita, and in doing so, he also screwed Kyle because the screwdriver wasn't there when Kyle needed it. Right. I thought they would go that way with the Continental Classic in mind. Now, obviously, they can still go that way without him winning. But I really thought after Mox lost the title and then, lost several of those big matches, I was like, oh, he's going to keep losing. And that's when the Death Riders are going to be like, okay, you're not carrying your weight anymore. You're out of here. But yeah, like I said, him winning kind of caught me by surprise. But then it was the promo after, just how babyface, how pro AEW it was. And they were cheering him during the match. But I thought about this Saturday morning, all 4 people in the semifinals and finals, like, I think they technically were heels coming in. Now it's Okada, Takeshita, and Fletcher and Mox. So crowd's going to be split at worst. They're all going to get cheers. So that they were cheering him in the match didn't really surprise me too much. But it was just how immediate after the match, he was like, oh yeah, this is where the best wrestle. Look at everybody in this tournament. That's who this title's for. This title's for all of you. When we just had, a year of the title in the briefcase. I don't know if I heard this on a podcast or read it on Twitter, but it was almost like when either the Death Riders or the group with Brian, when they started, they were talking about like different words about like how silly some of the stuff in AEW is, like going after Orange Cassidy, going after Darby Allin, like they're not taking it seriously enough. It's almost like him being in the Continental Classic and like seeing how hard everybody was fighting for it, like made him like realize, like kind of came full circle. He was like, okay, we're here now. Everybody's serious. Everybody's like, we're the best wrestle type stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see where they go, and that's not something I thought I was going to be saying, coming into it. So
right, yeah. Another point John made from Facebook right now, and I kind of thought about this too. Like, we know the Claudio's coming probably. I kind of thought maybe that would happen during this promo, when he was cutting this, because it was such a babyface promo. Maybe in a good spot for it, but we still got that. Coming on down the line, I'm sure. But
real quick, that mixed nuts match, whatever they called it, that was just a match or two prior, and they were definitely heels in that match. Going up against like the most babyface of babyfaces AEW has. So it's not like they were like kind of on the fence. Do we like him or do we not? And then Mox is getting cheered, so let's just cheer him. Like they were definitely heels, and then just an hour later, Mox is complete babyface. So yeah, they got to follow up with that. There's got to be something brewing there.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, final topic of the hot start today, man. Before we get to talking about our moments and favorite memories of Cena, we got to talk about how the whole last time is now tournament all ended up. So we ended up just a few weeks ago, Cena versus Gunther. As expected, Gunther did end up getting the win here. Ended up being like a monumental night. I don't know that this match like blew my mind away. You know what I mean? Like, it almost kind of looked to me, maybe a few times it looked like Cena maybe was a little frustrated. I know one time Gunther was laying down and Cena was like, get up. I mean, nothing new. Cena calling audibles in matches, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so being this last match, what were your thoughts, Dylan?
I enjoyed it. It played out match wise how I expected it to play out. Of course, Gunther getting the win. I like that Cena tapped. I really liked the story they told with like the struggle of the sleeper hold.
Sure.
It wasn't just like he locked it on a Cena tap, in 2 seconds. And it wasn't that he passed out, like the guy that says never give up actually gave up. I like that they kept going back to it. Gunther would lock it on. Cena would wiggle his way out. Gunther would go right back to it. Cena would wiggle his way out. I enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised at how the crowd reacted after the match.
Yeah.
I get the bad guy won, so you're supposed to boo.
Sure.
I'm fully in line with that, fully agree with that. But just how long they kept going and how they kept booing Triple H and all the other people that came out, like he lost a match, boo him, boo Gunther as he leaves, and then now it's time to celebrate John. Like, don't go off on Triple H. This is John Cena's last time. Don't leave him with boos. Like,
sure.
Flip that switch. But I don't know. I thought the match was fine. I liked it. I liked the whole show. Yeah.
Yeah. Sticking to that theme, man, I got some footage here of when it all went down. So let's listen to when the tap actual happened, and then everything that happens after that. Just the way the crowd just super dives.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Is feasting on the carcass of John Cena's career.
John Cena has tapped out.
Here is your winner by submission.
All right, so to me, like it seems like there was so many casuals in this crowd that a lot of them probably thought Cena was going to win. And of course they caught the faces of the ones that, had the most, shocked look or whatever, you know what I mean? This was a very expensive ticket to get in, you know what I mean, here. So I mean, I didn't love the finish. I would have, I see the story, I get it, but as some other people, saying some right now in the chat too, that, I would have rather seen a pass out, you know what I mean? Like he just go to sleep, and then he wakes up like what happened, whatever. But I mean, it is what it is, it's John's career. He can call it however he wants, right? You know what I mean? But I think that's, kind of like what added to it. Like we could have gotten over that. Then it was this crowd, like, just shitting on Triple H when he's out there.
That became the story. It went from the story being seen as last match to, oh man, the crowd's really taking over. The crowd's booing everybody. Like, you shouldn't leave John Cena's last match.
Right.
Going, oh, okay, yeah, John's career's over, whatever. But man, did you hear how mad that crowd was at Triple H?
Right.
Like,
and you think maybe too, like the smile, the smirk, kind of like, okay, I'm just like, this is it. Like nobody expected the tap to happen right then, because it's like, oh, he's smiling, he's about to rev back up. Here he comes. Like, oh no, he's tapping out. Like, oh
yeah, I call that Hollywood Cena. That Cena being on too many movie sets of the old gunslinger on his last. Like he knows it's over. He knows his career's gone.
Right.
He's ending it in peace. The smile I did find a little odd in real time. It's like, what's going on? And even like the tap out itself, I think looked kind of odd, but part of me thinks it's just because like we never actually see Cena tap out. So it's like just the man doing that motion seemed odd. Just like Cena doesn't do this, but I like the story. Like I said, I like the whole show. I thought the whole show was really good. I did laugh, he comes to the ring and he's shaking the hands of like all these legends. You've got, Trish and Eve Torres and Mark Henry and Kurt Angle.
RVD,
and then Elias is right there. Just like, where did Elias come from? And he's in complete full gimmick with the guitar.
No doubt.
What does he have in common with these guys? But whatever. Okay, yeah, we love Elijah. Everybody walk with Elias.
Yeah, so he's there representing Elijah because him and John were good friends or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm a little sad we didn't get a Edge match, a Chris Jericho match.
Yeah.
I feel like I needed another Randy Orton kind of, because it was so long ago in a way, right?
Yeah. But Randy and Punk both, they happened during the heel run. It's like, in hindsight, if we could just take out that whole heel run, that 4 or 5 months, whatever it was,
right,
and just have a pure nostalgia, Cena and Randy, Cena and Punk.
Yeah.
No, like, I'm a bad guy now, even though everybody's still cheering me. And obviously we didn't know The Rock wasn't going to come back. We didn't know, thank God, Travis Scott never came back. We didn't know they were going to wrap that up. If they had played that out better, we'd be looking at it completely different. But just the way it all panned out, especially when you look at from SummerSlam on and how much fun everything was, it's like if we could have just had that the whole time, that would have been better, in my opinion. But
hey, you know what, though? At least they were smart enough and thank God, they were smart enough to pull the plug on the heel turn. That it wasn't working, and we can't burn up his last year with this awful heel whatever turn, not working, and just went back to
you're right.
Applause to them for
you're right.
So
they could have done it another 3 or 4 months. So at least we got SummerSlam to on a feel good guy Cena. You're right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. But and it feels weird to think that was it. You know what I mean? And I believe him. You know what I mean? So now, now we got to start the John Cena for President campaign.
Yeah.
Anybody better suited than John? Like, I'm on board, man. I'm not even a political guy, but I'm on board, right? Like,
think Cena and Rock run together.
Yeah. All right, man. That's going to do it for the hot start. It's time to talk a little more John Cena and the dropkick discussion. But before we do, let's hear a word from our buddy, Sabotage, Sean Logan.
This is Sabotage, and you're listening to Sit Down Mark's podcast.
All right, man. So today, man, we're just going to talk, some of our favorite Cena memories, favorite matches, favorite feuds, his stamp on the business, why, why Make-A-Wish became such a big deal because of John Cena. Not just a big deal. Let me rephrase that. How it became so successful because of John Cena. His clothes, the outfits, the rapping, the jerseys, all that. We're going to be talking about overall career, thoughts as well. But, to jump right into it, Dylan, my first iterations and thoughts of John Cena are him looking Kurt Angle in the face, the ruthless aggression, you know what I mean? And like, that's like my earliest first memory, other than maybe, a rap that he come out to in, a Spirit of St. Louis jersey or a Knicks jersey or something like that, and I remember when he first started wearing the jerseys, dude, like I was like, wait a minute, dude, this dude's got like a Knicks jersey on. Like, what the hell? I'm like, you're from New Massachusetts, and
yeah.
and I'm a Celtics fan too. So I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, and then as time progressed, you've seen that he just wearing all kinds of jerseys, which, and then I thought, man, that's cool. And I really still think to this day, like, John kind of made wearing jerseys cool if it wasn't cool already, and it kind of helped, it was a trendsetter, to see, everybody, wearing these jerseys, but, the jerseys, but it wasn't that, it was the jerseys. It was the raps, when he's first starting out, that's how he got over and insulted people, and in the beginning, like, he took lumps just like everybody else, tons of booze.
Oh, yeah.
He had to rap through these booze, and then, and the I always remember the thinking how early in like dumb that the lock on the chain was, and then morphing into damn, that's cool, you know what I mean? Like, the change, right, when somebody like starts to get over, like, in your mind or whatever. Now I was never like, a big Cena guy, but I saw, what he was doing for the culture. I saw what he was doing for, especially in the latter years, like, what, you can't name a better representation of wrestling,
No.
Let's talk about the greats real quick. All of them have some sort of backstory or some sort of something on the internet we could look up. I'm sure John probably did in the early days too, whatever. But, as a professional, dude's never got in trouble, never been questioned about any kind of anything illegal, any no hookers, no drugs, no nothing. You know what I mean? Like, just you couldn't ask for a better representation of your company, and that morphed also too. It's like he wasn't that like in the beginning, but when John Cena became, hustle, loyalty, respect, and the merch and all that stuff, it's like, he's golly, I do think he's definitely like the biggest baby face of all time for sure. You know what I mean? But yeah, those early years, man, like, you got any memories of the early years? Like I said, that first match with Angle was like what put him on the map.
Yeah, just to touch on what you're saying real quick, like, you hear stories about Cena being like one of the biggest drinkers, or like best able to hold his alcohol, however you want to put it, but they always follow it up with like, but the next morning he was in his suit and tie ready to go for, whatever press junket they had going on. So it's like he could have fun with the boys, but he was always doing all the press, wherever they were at, just like you said, as professional as it gets. Back those early Cena years, I was pretty much just watching VHS to VHS, so I missed a lot of the TVs in between. But yeah, I remember, there's one or two pay-per-views where he is the super generic John Cena, no jersey, still wearing, the biker shorts with the color matching whatever city he was in.
Yeah.
And, honestly, like, not being super impressed. And then when he started doing the rapping and the jerseys and everything, he was a heel, and I'm like 7, so I'm booing the heels, just because.
Sure.
And so, who's this new guy out here thinking he's somebody, out here rapping his way to the ring, just getting in wrestle already type stuff. And like early on, I want to say it's Backlash 03, he has a title shot with Brock. And it's like, there's no way Cena's going to beat Brock for the title.
Right.
And a couple months later, he has a pay-per-view match with Taker. And a couple months later, he has a pay-per-view match with Angle. And it goes from like, who's this John Cena kid in here with like the top stars? It goes from that to like, hey, this Cena guy is like, he's pretty good. He's in there hanging with Taker and Angle.
Yeah.
And, that's by the time they turn him babyface. And again, I'm a kid, so I'm just going with whatever they tell me on TV. It quickly turned into a babyface and quickly became one of my favorites. I wouldn't say he was like ever like my guy, like my number one guy. I was more of a Shawn and Taker, had more of that old school vibe, but definitely one of my favorites, one of the early on, especially, and just the staying power he had. Like, that's a long career with minimal injury time, no drug suspensions.
Right.
Just one of the all-time greats, easily, no doubt.
Yeah, man. And too, like, for me, him being, I feel like he belongs in the conversation because he's so great. I feel like being from the Massachusetts area, he belongs in that like franchise of Boston, like the Celtics, the Bruins, the Red Sox, the Patriots, John Cena. You know what I mean? Like he fits. Like it's like
he fits. You're right. Yeah.
And so, and then so I remember when he started getting past the raps, then he started, kind of toughening up, just more like a tough guy, and he became more about, kind of like, what we should be in life, that kind of stuff, the hustle, loyalty, respect, you know what I mean? But speaking of, let's talk about, some of the, some of his nicknames that, we always thought, say, one as of late I've loved is Never Seen 17. I love that one. The Doctor of Thugonomics always makes me think when I hear the word doctor. Leader of C Nation, face that runs the place. You Can't See Me, right? Everybody does that one. Five Knuckle Shuffle. Want some, come get some. But probably the one that I'll carry probably forever is The Champ Is Here.
Oh,
right? That seems like the one that.
Yeah, you think of Cena, like automatically. Like no matter what sport, what wrestling promotion, anything, you hear somebody, hey, the champ is here. Like, oh, that's Cena, right away. Just Doctor of Thugonomics. I think back to that music, how we've became so used to the modern day Cena entrance. Been his music for, like 15 years or whatever. But that very first, like 03, 04, I don't remember when it switched over, but that Doctor of Thugonomics, Cena,
right.
Even it's iconic. Like the guy has two iconic theme songs. And then was it Mania? I'm forgetting the number now, but one of the more recent ones, when he came back out as the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Yes.
He didn't have a match. It might have been with Elias or something like that, but he comes back out in the full doctor get up, the old school. Maybe it was New York. I want to say he was in like a Yankees jersey, if I remember right. But just even throwing it back to the Doctor of Thugonomics, everybody went crazy for it. Like it's all so good, so good.
Yeah, yeah, man, and let's talk about for me, like I always, when I think Cena, I think opponents, I think Punk number one, because Punk is my number one. Edge, Jericho, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, anybody that was anybody during that time, he feuded with. I loved his, the reinvigoration of the United States title when he won at that time and did the Open Challenge. Everybody was tuning in to see the Open Challenge because it got fun and interesting. But like I said, for me, Punk, my favorite opponent. My favorite match with Cena was the 2011 Money in the Bank, where the contract was expiring. Punk wins, takes the title home. but probably like I don't mean this like in a bad way because I love this feud, and part of me always thinks about I always think about the pipe bomb, right? But I always think about the awkwardness of the Cena in the ring while the pipe bomb's going on. You know what I mean? He's just ripping his ass, and like he's taking pieces of table off of him. He's still selling, like you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? But I always remember him laying there, man, like during that time. But you got any Cena moments?
Yeah, that one, you have to say that one. Like,
sure.
I don't know why I remember this, but I vividly remember being at a softball game, telling my uncle there was no chance Punk was going to win because you looked at like how Punk had been booked the last like 6 months to a year prior to that. Like he's in the new Nexus and stuff. I was like, Punk's not going to beat Cena. Like, why are they even doing this? And then he cuts the pipe bomb and he wins the title, and it becomes the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
You
the
named
lines
off
were blurred.
so many. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You named off so many different rivals and just big behind the curtain. I just like listed a bunch of rivals and then went through like trying to list some of my favorite matches.
Sure.
And he wrestled like everybody.
Literally.
Like I had like 6 or 7 in my head. Like, okay, these. And I did those 6 or 7. I was like, I missed like 20 guys that he had like high profile, awesome main event matches with.
Yeah.
I'll throw this tidbit out there. I looked up his Randy Orton career, his Cena and Orton on Cage Match.
Sure.
Okay, because like just to me, a lot of their stuff blends together because I had so much of it. So I decided to look up what was the first John Cena Randy Orton match. You're gonna get a kick out of this, DB.
Oh boy!
According to Cage Match, it's in OVW. Let me see if I can get the date right.
I was gonna guess there, right?
So it's a tag match. The first one they have recorded. It's an NWA/OVW show. It's the Prototype, which is John Cena.
Yeah.
Teaming up with Rico. Remember, he was Billy and Chuck's stylist guy.
Yeah.
So it's Cena and Rico versus Randy Orton and Bobby Eaton.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I found that today. I want to see if I can find the match. Like,
what was Bobby doing there? Training?
Never would have guessed Cena and Bobby Eaton shared a ring together.
Right.
I gotta see if I can find that. That just blew my mind.
No kidding.
And then, I think I saw you flashed it up on the screen. I think John said RVD at ECW One Night Stand 06. Just talk about an atmosphere. The whole crowd rooting for RVD, the whole crowd booing Cena. Like, are they really going to put the title on RVD? And yeah, just incredible atmosphere. RVD winning the title.
Everybody remembers the banner that says, "If Cena wins, we riot." Right?
That's become iconic. Like, think about how many times that's been, replicated. Of if Phil in the Blank loses, we riot. Like,
right? Yeah, all the time. Exactly.
Yeah. His feud with Angle. At the very beginning, that first SmackDown debut, he's slapping Angle in the face, but then they run it back in like 05 when Angle's like the wrestling machine, Kurt Angle, just tearing it up. Shawn Michaels, they main event WrestleMania together, but then like 3 weeks later on Raw, they have like an hour-long match in the UK. That is phenomenal. He was a big part in Bryan getting over. Bryan's first title win was against Cena, and then he loses it to Randy Orton like seconds later. But the match itself, Cena and Bryan at SummerSlam, is awesome. You got to mention Brock Lesnar. When Brock came back in 2012, for whatever reason, I was just like ultimate go Cena. Like, Brock just ran off to UFC. Now he thinks he can come back and just start right back where he was. So I was super pro Cena in that. But then that SummerSlam match where Brock just dominates him, we had not seen anything like that on that level before. This John Cena's the guy, and Brock Lesnar comes in and just Suplex City, takes over, smashes, demolishes him. And the Kevin Owens trilogy, how huge that was for Kevin Owens making his main roster debut. That
when he beat
time frame of U.S. title you were talking about earlier. And one more I got to throw out there, AJ Styles. When AJ came over 2016, they had some of the just most incredible matches.
Yep.
SummerSlam
was awesome.
SummerSlam. Yeah, that was the big one to me was SummerSlam. they wrestled at the Rumble where Cena won his 16th.
Yeah.
But their first match was Money in the Bank 2016. Real quick side funny story here. I was super excited to watch that live because, it's John Cena and AJ Styles. But then this rather attractive girl asked me to hang out that day. So I was like, well, sure, I got to do that. Well, little did I know that hanging out was me being a random dude at her family's. There you go. I was just a random dude at her family's Father's Day get-together thing. Right. And I hated myself for missing the wrestling. So let that be a lesson, kids. Never miss the wrestling. But
yeah, right.
Then I think this past year, the Cena AJ match may have been my favorite one of Cena's run. The match they had in a Crown Jewel.
Sure, yeah.
I think that was the Australia show. Well, they just went crazy and tore it down. It was doing everybody's moves and just the story they told there. AJ is going to go down as one of Cena's best rivals. And,
I remember
I have other people I didn't even mention, but that list, you could just keep going and going.
You really could, man. Do you remember when the Cena AJ feud kind of started for the first time? You know what I mean? And when AJ was in WB, it became a very independent versus corporate. It was all this independent guys are on AJ's side, and you know what I mean. It was such a ground uprising, of interest in this. You know what I mean? Because first of all, we wanted to see AJ versus John, and it played out for so long perfectly, and it was just awesome. It was like the old eras, the sickos versus the corporate, IWC. You know what I mean? So it was awesome. It was wild, right?
Yeah, and it lived up to it, and Cena more than held his own. It wasn't our wrestler here, AJ Styles, he's going to come in and just work circles around this sports entertainment guy. No, Cena delivered. Around this time, everybody's talking about Omega and Okada and New Japan. They're talking about whatever Black and Gold NXT was doing. But Cena and AJ was just as good, if not better, than in ring than what everybody else was doing. They absolutely killed it.
Yeah. Yeah. One more last match I have. I like the one with WrestleMania 28 against The Rock. I thought that was one of my favorites of his too. But I want to say that, on top of all the Make-A-Wishes that he did, he's still setting records. Cody Rhodes is jumping right in there. He did the most this year of anybody in 2025, and looks like that's probably going to continue. But what a hell of a precedent to set for yourself.
Yeah.
For a company, and those things are hard, man. Those things are hard. A lot of times when, John's in there seeing some of these kids, it's usually, they don't have very long, and it's a very sad situation. Yeah. And they request to see him, and it's a very tough thing to do. So I have so much respect for him for, being able to, to do that too. And, although John was very much, a corporate wrestler, you know what I mean? He was the perfect ambassador for pro wrestling. A lot of people watched our sport more because of John. A lot of the guys and girls are making more money now because of John. You know what I mean? And wrestlers are getting looked at more for acting roles, commercial roles, because of John, and people did that before him too. I'm not saying that, you know what I mean? But, couldn't have been a better, ambassador, for our sport. He's definitely in the talk of, Mount Rushmore, of GOATs. I think he's the greatest sports entertainer of all time. You know what I mean? I think is, in the whole full package, with wrestling, with merch, with longevity, with everything together. Yeah, it's him. You know what I mean? And for, he's the guy that I actually do believe we watched his last match. We'll see him on WWE TV, but he's probably the only one I'd ever
actually believe
that they're going out. But last thing, not asking for a friend, not joking. I really do think he would be an awesome president. I would trust him with my life in this country, and you know what I mean, make the right decisions. But But yeah, it's kind of sad to see him go. Like I said, I was never a Cena guy. There was a time, I'll be honest, there was a time where I was a big hater. You know what I mean? During that whole, I was Punk.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was on Punk's side when all that stuff was going on. You know what I mean? And as you get older, you look at bigger pictures of things, and looking back, and they're just making money, man. You know what I mean? And he was absolutely great for pro wrestling. So put a bow on it, Dylan. What do you think?
Yeah. So just one quick personal side. Talk about booing Cena. I think I saw him on house shows twice, if I remember right. One was a triple threat with Punk and Big Show. So, of course, I'm cheering Punk. Mm-hmm. The crowd's pretty split between Punk and Cena, but I'm full on Punk. And then the next time it was Cena versus Samoa Joe. And I'm fully on the Samoa Joe bandwagon. Just because it's like looking back, like I didn't really did I even hate Cena, or was I just, booing Cena because that was the fun thing to do? And, just to wrap it up on the GOAT talk, they really leaned in on this final run to calling him the GOAT. Yeah. And at first I was like, okay, are we just jumping to that conclusion? No debate, arguments over, Cena's the GOAT. You know how I am. You're kind of the same way. We have that old school vibe. We're just going to completely dismiss Flair and Austin and Funk and everybody.
Sure, Cena's
the GOAT. But then the more we got to the end, and even doing the research, quote unquote, for this pod, it's really hard to argue against.
Yeah,
you can obviously, but when you just start looking at everything he did and the longevity and all the out of the ring stuff, but then all of the on screen stuff, I don't know that I'm ready to just end the debate and say Cena's the GOAT, but he's very much up so in the discussion. And I think the way you put it, if he's the greatest sports entertainer, I don't know if you can even argue against that, honestly.
Right. Yeah. I honestly think he's the GOAT of WWE of all time, for sure.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's not, forget, there was a point in time where John said, fuck them kids, you know what I mean? So let's not forget about that, so anyway, it was a funny little internet meme that came through, but, it's kind of sad to see him go. New era, one era ends, another one begins. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens. So that's going to do it for the Dropkick discussion. It's time to go home. But first, let's hear a word from the boss man of SportsWire Radio, Thomas Bryce.
This is the Reverend Tom Bryce, owner of SportsWire Radio. You're listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast with Primo, DB, and Dylan, right here on SportsWire Radio, the #1 global radio station where all music and wrestling matters.
All right, I want to remind everybody to check out Dreamwave Prelude. It's our YouTube series where we showcase the stars of tomorrow in Dreamwave Wrestling. And we just released Volume 5 just a few weeks ago. Volume 6 coming up here pretty soon. So make sure you check that out on sitdownmarks.com. Dylan, man, what you got for us this weekend for wrestling? Any big shows to check out?
Yeah, so it really starts middle of the week, Wednesday night, New Year's Eve. Both GCW and Beyond have big shows. I think they both do them pretty much every New Year's Eve. GCW has what they call their Do or Die Rumble, just a big battle royal. Winner gets a future title shot. Non-battle royal action, we got Manders versus Zachary Wentz. We got Joey Janela versus KJ Orso, the former Fuego. Shotzi versus Priscilla Kelly. I'm sure they'll add more to that. Then Beyond always closes it with, they call it Heavy Lies the Crown, their big annual New Year's Eve event. They always main event with a fans bring the weapons match. This year it's going to be Cruel challenging the brand new IWTV World Champ, Bear Bronson. Bear Bronson just having an incredible second half of the year.
Yeah, he is.
The tag titles are now vacant. The IWTV tag titles are now vacant. 2 semifinal matches going down Wednesday night. Bangin' Matthews taking on Anthony Green and world-class Shannon Thomas. And Miracle Generation taking on TJ Crawford and Love Doug. Lainey Lux making her beyond proper, not just wrestling open, but proper Beyond debut. Cody Lane's making his debut for Beyond. Two good shows there in the middle of the week. And then this weekend, ICW on Saturday. They celebrate their anniversary in the chains. Bear Bronson again challenging for their title, challenging John Wayne Murdoch. Eric Ryan's taking on Hoodfoot. There's a 4-way. It's going to be wild between Jameson Shook, MM3, Jimmy Lloyd, and Lucky 13. And weekend wraps up with West Coast Pro on Sunday. Vinny Massaro defending the title against Danny O'Brien. Jordan Blade challenging Johnny Robbie for the women's title. Starboy Charlie versus Manny Lowe. Adam Priest is on the card. Shimbashi's on the card. Some really good stuff out there. I'm going to try to have my preview up tomorrow night so that it's ready to go by Wednesday, but this week's crazy. No promises. If not tomorrow, it'll be Thursday in its normal spot. Check my Twitter at DHagerJ15. That's DHAGERJ15. That will be pinned to the top of the page whenever it is posted on there.
All right, what's coming up in January? Another Dreamwave Prelude, as we talked about, drops in early January. Primo is going to drop another Cheap Pops coming up later on in January too. And to finish out the month, we're going to talk our top indie promotions in the USA right now. Maybe you're new to this podcast, maybe you're new to wrestling, maybe you're new to the indie scene. We're just going to talk about some top indie promotions in the United States to check out right now. Who's really hot, who's kind of noteworthy, who's really booking some good shows. So we're going to be talking about that. And then, believe it or not, towards the end of the month, it's time to talk Royal Rumble already, man. So we're going to be talking about that, giving predictions, and it's going to be a fun start to 2026. Also, want to remind you, too, to head on over to DreamWaveWrestling.com. Tickets on sale right now for Living on a Prayer, which is coming up February the 7th. Tickets on sale right now, DWTIX.net or DreamWaveWrestling.com. Either one works just as good. So make sure you go over there and check out. Make sure you head on over to sitdownmarks.com and subscribe. And we really appreciate everybody for listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those podcast platforms out there. And really appreciate everybody watching right now on YouTube and Facebook. All right. We want to thank everybody for supporting us throughout the year. This is technically our last podcast of the year. Primo's not here with us, but if he was here, he would say we really appreciate all the support. The podcast has grown a lot. We started this YouTube series that's been really successful for us. We're excited to see where that's going to take us in 2026, and for that to move on down the line and see, what we can do with that. So we're excited. So thank you for all the support for that. Thank you for all the downloads. If you're an OG listener from back in the old days, or if you just picked up the podcast lately, we appreciate it. And thank you guys so much. We're coming up on 5 years of this podcast coming up in March. So that'll be here before we know it. But just want to take a second, man, to just say I really do appreciate it for all of us here at the Sit Down Marks podcast. For any download, subscribe, anything that you give us. Tell a friend about us, man. We appreciate it, and we're humbled by your support. And hope you guys continue to hang out with us in 2026. So Dylan, that's it, man. 2025 is a wrap officially as of this podcast. So it was a good one, man. We saw some awesome wrestling this year. The independent scene really grew. I thought this year, and a lot of different things happening, but looking forward to wrestling in 2026, man.
Oh yeah. It has been a phenomenal year. Just to echo what you said, if you download, if you listen, tell a friend. We appreciate that more than you know. I seriously think seeing the Sit Down Mark shirt, so Dreamwave and other place, every time I see that, I think it's just the absolute coolest thing ever. Even if you got a free shirt, it doesn't mean you have to wear it. So somebody taking the time, picking that shirt out of their wardrobe, it's the coolest thing ever. I just get really, it feels good to see that, and you guys have been doing it longer than I have. You know more about that than I do. But yeah, we appreciate it. So much good stuff in 2025. So much good stuff already on the horizon for 2026. Looking forward to seeing what's coming I ended that really weird, but looking forward to seeing what's coming in 26.
Yeah, man, and I especially want to give a big shout out to the Dreamwave faithful, the fans that turn out for us each and every week. They've really been supporting the podcast. I want to thank Jay Repsol and everybody at Dreamwave Wrestling for taking a chance on us and trusting us, to do work with their product. And we couldn't be more humbled. So we're very, very excited about that and excited for, like I said, what's coming up in the future. So. For Dylan, Primo, and myself, I am the Dirty Bird. We're going to sign off one last time for 2025. Happy New Year from all of us at the Sit Down Marks podcast. You know what's up. Keep spreading the good word of wrestling. We'll see you guys in 2026. Make sure you hang out for that poster coming up. All right, let me grab my notes here. All right, so this is the part of the podcast where we put a poster up, and Dylan basically tells us what happened on that very card. So, all right, here we go. Now. All right, here we go. Sticking with the John Cena. Hang on, let me turn this off here. Sticking with the John Cena.
Load on my end here.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go. Okay, that's a newer one. That's not good. Obviously, Elimination Chamber.
Right.
Obviously, because it says it on the poster.
Right.
That's 2019? That's not right, is it?
About 2017.
Okay.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, man. 17. I'm really going to draw a blank on this one.
How about a championship match?
Was that the Bray title?
Yes, sir. There you go. Yes, sir.
Bray wins the chamber.
Yeah, he beat AJ, Miz, Dean Ambrose, Corbin, and Cena. Yeah. What else happened on this card?
So that would be. Oh, you may have got me this week, DB. I'm trying to put that together with what Mania that would have been. Trying to think what Roman would have been doing.
There was a tag team turmoil match in here that American Alpha won, and Randy Orton beat Luke Harper in a match, if that kicks you off a little bit.
Okay. I remember that being good. So I think this would have been a SmackDown only pay-per-view, just going by what you're saying.
Naomi
Bella did something.
Naomi beat Alexa for the SmackDown Women's title. Becky Lynch beat.
Okay. I'm like vaguely remembering the matches as you say them, but I have no idea what else. Like, it's not drawing any memories in that.
And then the main event, Mojo Rawley defeated Kurt Hawkins.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Kidding. That wasn't the main event. That was probably the opener, but
you got me in this one. Yeah.
Hey, we stumped Schwab at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm telling you, the newer stuff, it doesn't
I've been waiting to get you so I can play my soundbite. Like, we got you one time. All right, good stuff. Well, it was a good run, man. Almost had the year cut out. We got you right at the final pod.
Yeah.
Oh well. Start a new streak next year.
Come back better next year.